Why is this... Yeah, this is not really water. It's colored in like water, but it doesn't act the same. It is kind of slime. It is supposed to be slime. And unlike regular water, which has been ineffective to us the entire game, this does affect us. As you can see, I move slower and I jump lower. This definitely affects us. So try to keep that in mind. Not really that much of an hindrance, because you only meet it here at the end of the game. There's a couple of things we can get up here. This is just one giant room where we can space jump to the top. And this is what I mentioned last time when I said it is not technically the final ruins we met the first time, because this is also a chosen ruins, technically. Where the final enemy is hiding. And there's another chosen statue here, even though it has been brutally murdered. If you can even say that from a statue. But there is still a power-up here. The final power-up in the game, I mentioned it earlier, but it is also a power-up, like I mentioned, that we already got. This is an ice beam. And this is not here for nothing. We actually need the ice beam. And if you've been paying attention to the previous Metroid game, you know why the ice beam is sometimes in a Metroid game actually required. Keeping that in mind, you might have some idea of what is coming up. Right, over to the right is some other things. Very important, because this is your final refill station. There's a missile refill here. 250 is the maximum number of missiles, so I know I have them all, thank God. So I don't have to go back. Energy tanks, I've already got all of them. I already knew that. 5 energy tanks you can get, and a 6th one you can waste if you already have 5, but still need to pick up if you want 100%. Right, and then we can go all the way to the left. This is where continuation is. Once again, the music changes into something dire. Right, what are we going to find here? These chosen ruins look a little bit different. They also look a little bit familiar, if you've been paying attention to previous game. What are we going to find in here? An egg? Yeah, this is a Metroid egg. And now what's happening? The counter just shifted from 1 to 9. We suddenly have 9 Metroids to take care of. And we did not grab the ice beam for nothing. We have regular Metroids. Yep, we've been fighting their evolutions this whole game, but the regular ones, the larvas, the babies, you might say, the jellyfish-like Metroids, the form we know from the first game, are the baby Metroids. Here we find some baby Metroids. And they actually are, when it comes to their defenses, a little bit more terrifying than the regular evolutionized ones, because these ones can only be destroyed if they are frozen. And they suck the energy out of me. Quickly turn into Morph Ball to get rid of them. Freeze them with the Ice Beam. That is why the Ice Beam is required. Only the Ice Beam can stun them. And only then you can shoot them with missiles. If you shoot them with missiles before they are frozen, nothing happens. Gotcha. That's 3, so 6 more. Technically 5 because... Dang it! Go off! Right, you are frozen. You need to be careful because they don't stay frozen forever. It is their mortal weakness. Ice. They cannot stand cold temperatures, at least in their larval states. When they were evolved, it didn't hurt them too much. It does now. No. Who gave you permission for that? Not me. Gotcha. Yeah, this really looks like Turian from the first game, where we also made our way through old Chozo ruins. In this case, the place where the space pirates made their headquarters. And we were also forced to fight... Oh, dang it. I had still had my missiles out. Get off! Stop eating me! There we go. I can always go back to that... Oh, no, 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 no! Case in point. They don't stay frozen forever. No! Yeah, in case you were thinking Metroids are easy, they're not. There we go. Only one more. Right, that should be the final one. Another earthquake happens. Yes, there was actually something in place. Right, another eerie music change. This is where the final boss is situated. We don't get that music for nothing. The most scary place in this planet. Hello, Queen Metroid. I'm not fighting you just yet. I first need to heal. And I also need to show this off. As you can see, there is a pit where you can fall at the Queen Metroid. Yes, of course, the final boss is a Queen Metroid. Kinda like bees and ants. Metroids are insect-like enemies. They have a queen as their leader. Or not so much their leader, but there is a queen who's actually responsible for the reproduction of them. But I am not fighting her with this low health. I am first going to go back to that... Come on, Space Jump. I should be able to do that by now. I'm first going back to that final energy refill and missile refill. Because this final boss is actually the hardest thing in this entire game. You need all of your missiles. And you need all of your health. Usually I am able to beat her barely. With a couple of missiles left, a couple of health left. I'll meet you back when I get back to the Queen's room. This time actually fighting her. Because I'm not doing that when I'm not full health. And I do not have to go through... Yeah, I do have to go through the Turian area, but I don't have to kill any Metroids anymore. So it's just easy to run through. I'll meet you there. Alright, are you all ready? Time to finally eradicate the final Metroid on this planet. The one responsible for all the Metroids here, the one laying the eggs, the one who is making all these Metroids, the reason why this area was infested by all these baby Metroids, all the larvas. Because the Queen is here. Let's go. Right, the best way to handle her is to make sure to hit its head with missiles. And the best way to do that is wait for its jaw to open, wait for it to try to bite you. Whenever its head is open, you can actually stun lock her. You can also hit her when she's not. As you can see, my missiles still hit and still connect. But she doesn't get stunned by them. But if I can shoot them right into her mouth, then she gets stunned. And then just mash the B button, mash your missiles. That is the best way to do it. Ow, ow. There we go. The Queen is dead. This planet is now Metroid free. We don't need the missiles anymore. Now it's just a matter of getting off this rock. But don't forget about the egg we just saw. We still need to take care of the egg. There's still more Metroid larvas about to come. Ooh, it is hatching right in front of us. A baby Metroid. This one is not evil. This one actually, because we are the one it sees when it hatches, actually sees us as its mother. Oh, it's so cute when they're so small. See, Metroids can be good. They're not an evil species like everybody thinks. I'm trying to shoot it, but I can't. This is not an evil thing. I think we're going to keep this baby with us. We even need it because it actually eats these metal things that we can't destroy, so it's actually our way out of here as well. Yeah. Such a good way to end this. We just eradicated an entire species, or at least we're supposed to. And then one single egg remains. One single baby Metroid hatches from that right in front of us. And we become its mother. So you can say we did take care of all the evil Metroids on this planet. The ones who weren't raised properly, you might say. This one we can still save. This one we can make sure stays on the right side of things, right? To be continued in Super Metroid. That's all I can say about that. Let's escape this planet. We are, as you can see by the starry sky, back on the surface. There's nothing we can grab over here. There's no extra power-up or anything. They sneakily hidden. No, we have everything. All we can do is space jump our way over this mountain. Back on the other side, where our ship is. And we can say, mission complete. We are taking one baby back home. Let's see how the Federation is going to react on that. Well, we are finally back on our ship. We took care of this planet in the last couple of 2 weeks. It has been quite the adventure. It's been deep into the caves for a long time, but we are back at the surface. We are back at our ship. A sight for sore eyes. Game over. Right, that was Metroid 2. I just barely missed out on the best ending. I can see if you finish under 3 hours, you get the best ending. In saying Samus will then be standing in her bikini, like she always does in a Metroid game. She always takes off all her stuff whenever you get the best ending. I'm not used to getting that. I usually end up being just a little bit too late. Technically, I still did get it because I did need to hold out on a couple of things and in between recordings, and I actually let the gameplay rolling while I was doing that. So if you scrape off a few minutes of me not setting up my recordings and everything in between episodes and looking if a certain recording had succeeded, then I would have been underneath that, because that time that was definitely more than 7 minutes, so I'm not too ashamed of not getting that. But other than that, yeah, that was this project. That was the second Metroid. The first time through. There are more, of course. I can't wait to start playing another Metroid 2 remake. The fan remake that was made of this game. That one was actually made very, very well. It definitely did this game justice. I think that's the whole reason why Nintendo decided to make their own Metroid 2 remake. Because they haven't been making Metroid games in years. And suddenly a fan remake pops up, becomes very popular because it is done very, very good. Definitely beats this game by a long shot in the way they executed it. And suddenly, out of nowhere, Nintendo also decides to make one. I don't think that's a coincidence. But I don't really mind that either, because Nintendo's version of Metroid 2 is also extremely awesome. The 3DS title, Samus Returns, that's the one I'm talking about, is also an amazing remake of this game. Probably even better than another Metroid 2 remake was. So I really don't mind. So there's 2 more versions of this game coming up. They are completely different. They are completely reframed. They follow the same story and everything. And you have to do the same things. But because of different engines and being built up from the ground up, they feel completely different. That's why I'm treating them as different games. Even though they are technically still this game. I'm still treating them like the normal original games they technically are, you might say. Alright, what else can I say about this project? Well, it went a lot smoother than the first one, because mostly this game is designed a lot better, I think. The controls are way better. This really starts to feel like the Metroid as we know it now. It's still not quite it. That really starts kicking in from Super Metroid, I think. The third game, the one I'm going to play after this. It's also coming up somewhere. Perhaps end of this year or maybe next year, but it is definitely coming up. One of my favorite Metroids ever, Super Metroid. Not entirely my favorite. That honor still goes to Metroid Fusion and Metroid Prime. I can't wait to play those, especially Metroid Prime. I'm really looking forward to. I really, really love that game. And Metroid Fusion, yeah, I need to play Super Metroid for that one first, because it is a continuation of Super Metroid, of course. But that's the future for Metroid. We're not done by a long shot when it comes to Metroid. But this was the second chapter. This was the first playthrough of the second game in the storyline. 2 remakes coming up in the future. One fan-made remake I really loved playing. I really, really still love the fact I discovered that fan-based remake. It is an amazing remake. I'm definitely looking forward to all of them. And with that, I can say Metroid is going to take off for me right now, because the 2 Metroid games I like the least are the first 2. And even those I really like. Perhaps maybe not the first one as much. This one a lot more. I definitely like this one a lot more than the first one. But even this one is low on my list. Every single Metroid coming after this is way better than the first 2, I think. This is where, starting from the next game, is where Metroid really starts becoming the amazing series it is today. But we can't forget about its roots. This is where it started, on the NES and the Game Boy with its first 2 games. Alright, the next project let's talk about next week. You might have noticed me saying a lot about there being 3 versions of this game. Me playing this game because I want to do this as early as possible, because 2 more playthroughs of this story in different games are also going to happen. So 3 versions of this game. But there is still 2 more games on my to-do list for now and in the future that also have 3 versions. I plan on doing those as quickly as possible so I can get them out of the way. This was the first one of those. The other 2 being, giving it away right now so you know what my next 2 week projects are going to be. Super Mario Bros. 3, which has, of course, the original version on the NES. It has the Super Mario All-Stars version for the SNES. And there is the Super Mario Advance 4 version for the Game Boy Advance. I'm playing that last one first, so I can do the 100% playthrough of that first. Those 3 games are too similar to be considered different games, so I'm going to do 3 different kind of playthroughs for them. Probably going to end up doing a no power-up challenge and a speed run for the other 2, but I'm also going to do a regular 100% playthrough, which is going to be the one I'm doing first, and that's going to be for the Game Boy Advance version. So next time is Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario Advance 4. And the other game, that's also 3 versions. It is now, since last year. You already know what I'm talking about because of that. Even though I need to skip the second and third game for that. But the second game has only 1 version and the third game has 2. The fourth game in that series has 3 versions, so I'd like to do the first one as quickly as possible. The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. I am going to do Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening for the Nintendo Switch after Super Mario Bros. 3. Once again, doing the 100% playthrough first, because that game is the most recent one, the most expensive one, the most expanded one. Also the most expensive one, of course. But that's not the issue. And because of that, I'm going to do 100% in that playthrough there. There's of course also Link's Awakening Deluxe on the Game Boy Color, which released 1998. Not really too sure what I'm going to do there. Probably end up doing a speed run and a 3 hearts challenge for the other 2 versions. And with the third version, I mean, of course, the original version on the Game Boy in 1993. Also a game, because of that, and I have all 3 of those versions, so I need to play all 3 of those at some point, at least I want to. So I'd like to get the first of those playthroughs out of the way also, so I don't have to do the same game too close together. I don't really like that. I do like playing multiple versions of multiple games, all of them, so you can see the difference in everything. That's something I do really consider important, but I don't want to keep them too close together. And if I do games I need to do 3 times, the first time as early as possible, I can space them out a little bit, so you don't have to watch the same game too many times, too close together. So they can be years apart. You have years of things to look forward to. This was the first one. Metroid 2, 3 versions, 2 officially, and 1 hack. 1 fan-made game. Super Mario Bros. 3 having 3 versions, and The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening having 3 versions. Those were my plans. That's the reason I did this game. And that's the reason I'm going to do Super Mario Bros. 3 and The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening next time. This was Metroid. This was Treecks. See you next time. Thanks for watching.